Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my March wrap-up part 1, and baby, it feels great to be back. I have had a slow reading time, getting into the rhythm with our daughter and getting back just into reading books that are not romance or not like super light in plot, because that's all my mind could handle. You know, new mom, I'm not gonna be hard on myself, but baby, it is great to be reading things that are dark and gritty again. So I think I have like 8 or 9 things to talk about, and that's why I'm filming. Like, today's only March 13th, is that right? Yeah, March 14th. So we're only halfway through the month and I already have like 9 things to talk about. So I just really wanted to talk to you guys and talk about them. Oh my god, I can't wait. So I have been reading amazing books, and I have just been honest and DNFing things that are slowing me down and I don't want to pick up anymore, because I'm all about not wasting my life reading books I don't want to read. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it chronologically, starting off with a fucking banger. So this is Goddess of Filth by Castro, who is an American author. So this is following a group of friends who one night at a sleepover have like a seance to summon a dark spirit, and one of them is possessed, and she immediately starts crouching on the ground, and her period blood is like running out from between her legs, and she's speaking in tongues, or they think it's tongues, but it's a language that they don't know. And this goes on for a while. And despite their best efforts, not her, not the mother, not priests, no one can help her. And the friends are trying to bring their friend back and get, obviously, the spirit out. One of the things it does so well is talks about the expectations for the poor to low to middle class girls in Latin communities in America. So some of the girls are just struggling to make ends meet for their family. Some of them are just struggling to go to school and get good grades. And one of them is off to university, the one who is possessed. So it's dealing a lot with like their lived realities and the expectations that other people put on them, but also then how they are viewed by other people, even if they aren't doing the things that those people accuse them of. And it's this back and forth. It's so gritty. You immediately immerse yourself into this story, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. So after that, I finished an arc that I got from NetGalley, and it used to be called The Helheim Princess, and it had this cover, and now it is called The Valkyrie's Daughter, and it has this cover. I really wish that they had kept the first cover. The first cover is so unique. The yellow cover I am not a fan of. But the reason I picked this up is because it is by Tiana Warner, a Canadian writer who wrote the Ice Massacre series, which is queer siren and ice warriors, lesbians. So I was absolutely here for this, and this is a lesbian reshifting of Valkyrie stories, which in Norse mythology I know nothing about Valkyries. So this is written at a YA level that is very young. So I think a lot of YA skews older. That's not the case for this one. It skewed much, much younger. However, what kept me going was the interesting Norse mythology and the Valkyrie element itself. So our main character's name is Sigrid, and she is a stable hand in the Valkyrie stable. So she herself was not born a Valkyrie. She was born alongside Valkyries, but with a human horse. A human horse. A regular horse, not a winged horse. Oh my, a human horse. Okay. Okay. So she is not a Valkyrie. She wishes to be, but she is not. And one day, night elves from another realm come, and they have a Valkyrie with them that is trying to steal something very important. They succeed, and she wants to team up with that thief in order to get that item back, and she goes on this journey to hell to get the item back. So I was really intrigued by the different worlds, by the mythology, by the Valkyries, and a lot of really strong female main characters, because the 2 main characters are very strong. One is Sigrid, who is a stable hand, an expert horse rider and caretaker, and then the other one is a Valkyrie. So it was very cool in that aspect. So after that, I read my second favorite of the month, which is Malice by Heather Walter. So I was just feeling like I wanted some female fantasy that was a bit darker, because like I said, the past one, the Valkyrie one, it didn't get truly that dark because it's written for younger YA, and I wanted something a bit darker. So I knew that Malice, which is a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, is FF and also is written for a darker audience. So I was not disappointed. I loved this. So this is basically a reimagining of Sleeping Beauty before the story that we know. So we follow two main characters. One is Alice, who is known as the Dark Grace, and she bleeds green, and she has the power to create little vials which have curses which wear off over time, like to make someone a little uglier, to give them warts, etc. And in this world, graces are born of fae, like they're half human, half fae, and they have a little bit of magic imbued by their blood. And the graces, the normal ones, are gold-blooded, and they provide little vials that do good things, such as like make you more beautiful, make you sing better, make you more witty. So Alice is set apart by her green blood, and she is descended from a race that is slightly apart from the light fae. She's a part of the race that's kind of the darker fae. So she is outcast within society, and she's looked down upon. That is until one day when she attends a dinner and she catches the eye of the princess named Aurora. So the Princess Aurora is in a long line of cursed princesses, where through the matriarchal line, the fae long ago cursed them to be the rulers as long as they can find their true love by the time they turn 21. If not, and the mark of the curse still is on their wrist, they will die. So Aurora is 20, and she has a year to find her true love, or she will die. And so as they develop a friendship, they are trying to help each other. So the princess is trying to help Alice learn more about her people, because she believes that she is the last one of her kind, and the Dark Grace, Alice, is trying to help the princess break her curse. And I want to just say the end of this book is absolutely chef's kiss, wonderful. If you disagree, I'm sorry, but you're wrong, and I will absolutely be reading the next one, because this is a duology, and the second one comes out, when does it come out? Yep, May 10th this year. So I cannot wait. The second one is called Misrule, and I absolutely will be reading it. If you like dark fantasy retellings, especially sapphic ones, this is one you should not miss out on. So next up, I want to talk about a DNF I had. This was an arc from NetGalley. This is Little Bird by Tiffany Meuret. And this just did not work for me on so many levels. So it sounds interesting, which is obviously why I requested it. We're following a woman who is recently divorced. She's struggling with depression. She's struggling with a recent loss. And suddenly a skeleton appears in her yard along with like creeping vines and won't leave her alone. So I thought that it sounded really interesting, and it could be really dark. I was kind of getting vibes similar to Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. Oh, how wrong I was. I was so wrong. The writing is extremely repetitive. The main character is extremely annoying, and the skeleton goes on really long monologues, which I really hated. So I just decided to DNF it and not waste my time anymore, and that's all I'm gonna say about that one. So after that, I read Mrs. Caliban by Rachel Ingalls, and this was so weird. This is one of the weirdest ones that I've read so far this year. I'm still not sure how I feel about it overall. It's kind of Shape of Water, where we're following a main character named Dorothy, and she hears voices on the radio. And one day she hears that an Aquaman has escaped from a research lab nearby. And suddenly she looks up from preparing lunch, and he's there in her kitchen, and she decides to feed him and then to help him. And this is half talking about her mundane life as a housewife. Her husband is a piece of trash, and just her daily things that she goes about doing, contrasted with the frog man named Larry who comes into her life, and I think they have sex like immediately. Like it's very like insta bangy, and just his take on kind of humanity. So it kind of reminded me a lot of Shape of Water times The Humans by Matt Haig. That is a very weird mashup, but that is what I'm going with. Yeah, so this one I gave 3.5 stars in the end. I think because the end went in a direction I honestly didn't see coming, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it, because there's a lot of different ways that you could read this book once you know the ending. Yeah, so I'm still a bit unsure, but I think that this will be one that sticks with me just because the premise is so unique. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was on my best weird of the first half of the year. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out. So after that, I picked up a book I've been meaning to read forever. This is God of Death by Z.S. Storm, who is a male Fijian writer writing MM. We love to see that. MM by men is underrepresented, in my opinion. And this is a Hades Persephone retelling where Hades is obsessed with not Persephone, but her brother. So this is following Perse, who is a human man, a divorced husband with a son, and on Halloween, Hades appears and sees Perse and just basically kidnaps him to the underworld. Now, before I get into all the reasons why Storm is an amazing writer and the retelling was great, I have a huge disclaimer here to say. I'm pretty angry about it. A lot of people will say that Hades engages in consensual non-consent with Perse, and I really disagree. I'm gonna call it what it is, which is rape and sexual assault. And this was not it for me. So I just was so pissed off that that was included in the book. It was not necessary, because one of the elements of Hades is that he is unyielding and brutal and really protective and etc., etc. I get it. I really do get it. But the whole line of like gods take what they want and his body wanted it even if he was saying no is something that I am not on board with. Like, I'm off the boat. Like, I'm swimming away from your boat. That's how not on board I am with it. Yeah, so I just hated that, and that's why I gave it 3 stars overall, because this would have been a 4+ star because I cried at the end of this book. Okay, I cried, but I cannot forgive it that inclusion. So I just wanted to say that before I carry on. Okay, hot rant over. So, the writing style is excellent. Storm's writing style is excellent. The world building, excellent. Hell is hot and shitty. And one of the things I love is that Perse is so determined to get back to his son that he never gives up trying to escape from hell. And I just, man, I love and hate it. So how can I say I wish the author would rewrite this without the rape and sexual assault? Because then it would be like a 4+ for me. But no, it has it. So I'm like, I don't really recommend it, obviously, because problems abound. However, I will be reading the second one in the series, which is for Chiron, which is the ferryman in Hell. So if there's a rape scene in that, I will be so very upset. So yes, I just wanted to mention that. And yeah, so I read He Made Me Do It by this author, which was excellent. So I'm really interested in this author, but please, Storm, please, no sexual assault and rape. I like the love interest, okay? Preferably by anyone, but especially not the love interest. Okay, alright, let's move on. Alright, so after that, I was helping my husband. He wanted specifically some short stories that he could teach at school. So I read 2 short stories. The first one is The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Frankly, I don't have much to say about this because it's very short. And I don't know why it's so highly lauded, or maybe I just read too many dark things, because I saw the twist coming a mile away, and I mean, like, death is bad, but I've read so much worse. So when people are like, this is the best and darkest short story ever, disagree. I would disagree with you. Yeah, so I gave this 3.5. I'm not going to say much else. I don't want to spoil anything. And then the other one I read is Skin by Roald Dahl. Again, it's dark, I agree. It has elements of painting and tattoos. And again, I gave it 3.5 stars. These are short stories, so it's hard to get all the way immersed. They're dark, so I like them. But ultimately, yeah, they're nothing overly special. Yeah, so I had 3 favorites this month: Goddess of Filth, Malice, and this is the third, Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung. This was excellent, and I give it 4+ stars. This is a short story collection by a Korean woman in translation. This is also on the long list for the Booker International Prize this year, and it rightly deserves it, okay? The stories in here are dark, and they have body horror and gore and revenge and curses and fetishes, and I just thought it was brilliant. So I'm just gonna look at my review because I wrote down more about each story. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about some of my favorites. So the stories I gave the highest rating, one was called Head, and it dealt with like disgusting bodies and like sloughing off stuff from your body in the toilet. Another one, Embodiment, had an unusual pregnancy and lots of gore. Cursed Bunny had fetishes, curses, and revenge. Snare had a fox spirit and greed. Scars had sacrifice and curses. And Reunion had trauma and ghosts. So definitely check out my review on Goodreads for the triggers. There's like a million of them. So some of the reasons why it was docked the 1 star is that one of the stories has the idea that children need a father, which I like disagree with. There are many flourishing families built up of all different like parental or caretaker configurations, and not all of them need a father. Also, there were some ableist tones in 2 of the stories, one in particular where blindness is seen as a curse and a hindrance and something where you're not really fully human, which obviously disagree with. And then the last reason is that there's cheating, which we all know I don't like. Yeah, but overall these are extremely strong stories, and I would be very surprised if this wasn't in my best of the year, or at least the honorable mentions of the year. So that's how strongly I feel about this collection. And I definitely recommend you to check it out if you haven't already. So that ends my wrap up for the first half of March. I'm currently reading a book. I'm not going to mention which book, but I think that it might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite of the year so far. So the reading momentum is carrying through March, and I am so excited about it. Yeah, let me know what you're reading down below. Let me know the best books you've read so far this year, so I can get some idea of what to pick up next. And I will see you in another video soon. Lots of love. Talk to you later. Bye!